This is WVVA News, here for you, live in HD. WVVA News at 11 starts now.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I am Martin Staunton. We begin tonight with a pair of separate fires reported in southern West Virginia today. One in a manufacturing facility, the other in a residence, and in that blaze, there's a report of a firefighter injury. We'll begin there. The Pineville Volunteer Fire Department in Wyoming County took to social media to write, just after 2 p.m. today, we were dispatched to a residential structure fire on Mulberry Avenue in Pineville. On our arrival, units found a working fire in the kitchen area of that house. Members quickly went to work and made entry to extinguish the fire. No one was at home at the time, but unfortunately, several pets did pass away. One firefighter on the scene was injured. That member was treated and released at the scene by EMS. Now to the other fire in Fayette County, where several fire departments responded to a reported fire in a manufacturing facility in Alloy. That happened today. And according to security at West Virginia Manufacturing, the fire broke out in that plant in a mixing bin. Fire crews from Armstrong Creek, Montgomery, Smithers, and Boomer all responded to that scene. The flames were doused within 5 to 10 minutes. Officials say no injuries were reported. A recent WVVA hometown hero was honored for his heroic actions at a fire in the Oakville area, and he was honored tonight by the Oakville Volunteer Fire Department. 11-year-old Jonathan Robinette, you may remember this young man. His actions the day after Christmas last year saved his family from a house fire. There's video of what remains of the home. The Oakville Elementary fourth grader says that he was the first one in his family to wake up that morning. He saw the smoke and he took action, waking up his mom, running to get help from the neighbors, and he was able to save his family from the flames. And tonight, firefighters from Oakville wanted to recognize him and celebrate him. So they presented him with a plaque and gave him a ride in the fire truck you saw there. And in one of the department's trucks, that is, Jonathan was very excited and thankful to his community for recognizing his actions.
He was able to wake up his family and get them out, and there was no tragedy. They lost the house, but they can be replaced. But life came, and it's such a blessing that this young man has done this.
Feels good.
He is a man or a young man, that is, of few words. And even though the house was a total loss, the family is continuing their search for a new one. And when asked if Jonathan would ever be interested in a career being a firefighter, he said he'd consider it. Now we turn to other news out of Mercer County. With road troubles, residents in the Ingleside area of the county are concerned after a roadway was overrun by a mudslide last Friday. The residents on Ingleside Road say the state closed that road, but recently came and removed some of the mud off the roadway. Right now, they say they're not sure it's safe to travel on, adding that the road is slippery to drive on due to the mud. They're even worried the mud may come down and take a car with it. They say it's also inconvenient because school buses can't really travel down that road.
I've lived down here all my life, and it's never done this until 4 years ago. And then when they started digging on Country Girl Road up there on some property, then it started all sliding down the hill.
We did reach out to the West Virginia Division of Highways to see if there's any long-range plans to deal with the recurring mudslides. We'll update you as we learn more from the DOH. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency is ordering Norfolk Southern Railroad to pay for the cleanup after that train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio. It led to evacuations and continuing concerns over contamination due to the chemicals. It's been 2 weeks after that train derailment, and officials are working to assure the residents that the air and the water are safe despite health concerns in the community. Gloria Pazmino brings us the very latest.
Pay for the cleanup. That's what the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency is ordering Norfolk Southern to do more than 2 weeks after a train carrying toxic chemicals derailed in East Palestine. The disaster resulted in a days-long fire that sent plumes of black smoke into the air and led to the intentional release of vinyl chloride to help avoid a worse explosion.
We need our town cleaned up. We need our residents to feel safe in their homes.
During a press briefing Tuesday, Ohio Governor Mike DeWine was critical of laws on the books that do not require train companies to notify local governments when hazardous materials are passing through the area.
The fact that this train did not qualify under current law requiring the railroad company to make that notification is just absurd.
Now this community is caught in the middle as more reports of health problems emerge and officials try to assure people the air and water in this community is safe. The cleanup order, which is legally binding, will require the company to identify and clean the contaminated soil and water resources and reimburse the EPA for services provided to residents and local businesses. So far, the soil under the railroad tracks at the derailment site has been determined to be contaminated.
So the tracks will have to be taken up and that soil will have to be removed.
Meanwhile, officials opened a new clinic Tuesday that will serve residents impacted by the train derailment. Here for you in Atlanta, Gloria Pasmino, WVVA News.
Thank you for the update, Gloria. Norfolk Southern said they want to do what's right for the residents of East Palestine, issuing a statement saying, quote, "We are committed to thoroughly and safely cleaning the site, and we are reimbursing residents for the disruption this has caused in their lives. We're investing in helping East Palestine thrive for the long term, and we will continue to be in the community for as long as it takes." End quote. We're going to change gears now, or let's say change tracks, and talk about the weather. And Chief Meteorologist Catherine Thompson joins us now from the Weather Center with a first look at the forecast here in the two Virginias. Hey, Catherine, that warm weather today was nice. Will there be more tomorrow?
Absolutely, Martin. And in fact, tomorrow looks warmer than today. We were already above average, and we're going to be a good 10 to 20 degrees above where we were today tomorrow when it comes to those high temperatures. So it'll certainly feel like spring. We're going to stay pretty dry, too, overall. I do think we could see a few showers tonight. We've got some cloud cover moving in on our satellite and radar. A warm front is making its way through the area. That's why we've been mild, but we're going to be a little unsettled, not a washout or anything like that. But we could see a few showers before the night is over. Otherwise, we're just lingering in the 30s and low 40s tonight. Most of us should stay above freezing. I'm not going to rule out a stray shower again overnight, maybe even a few flurries where we're cold enough. But generally, we warm right up tomorrow. Tomorrow will feel definitely more like spring. We're in the 70s, some sun tomorrow afternoon, just a bit breezy. I'm going to break down that full forecast and let you know how long this trend is going to last in just a tad. Martin.
All right, thank you, Catherine. Senator Shelley Moore Capito made 2 stops in Princeton today to tour a healthcare facility and to speak with community leaders here in Mercer County. The main topic of discussion, healthcare. Our Taylor Hankins reports.
Senator Shelley Moore Capito met with local leaders to ask them what projects should be a priority for federal funding in Mercer County.
We talked about nursing shortages and how important it is to make sure we have as many trained professionals all throughout the spectrum. So I'm really proud of the work they're doing here in Princeton.
One way this shortage is already being addressed is the new nursing program at Concord University, which has been funded in part with federal dollars from Capito and Senator Joe Manchin.
I think a lot of our people don't want to leave. They want to stay here. They're very committed to this area and the region. And so this gives them an opportunity to make a really good wage, do something they love, and be of service.
With the program just kicking off this past January, the need for nurses and healthcare workers in the area hasn't been alleviated by the new offering just yet.
We're on the cusp of a real development with this agreement affiliation with WVU, and this hospital needs people to work.
Well, as I was telling the senator, my wife is one of the medical doctors at Princeton Community Hospital, and her particular group does struggle to get mid-levels and doctors into the area.
Capito hopes that her new committee appointment can bring health care funding Mercer County's way.
I'm going to be the ranking member on the health subcommittee of appropriations, where a lot of the dollars flow. And that means that when I hear that there are shortages in nursing, there are shortages in maybe certain supplies, then I can try to address that through the appropriations bill.
Here for you in Princeton, West Virginia, Taylor Hankins, WVVA News.
All right, thank you for that report, Taylor, funding of the infrastructure projects like the train museum and sports complex were also discussed as a way to help attract more young medical professionals to the area. More legislative news now in West Virginia after a bill to allow students to carry concealed weapons on college campuses has now cleared both chambers. Today, the House of Delegates passed that Senate bill allowing the concealed carry on campus, despite opposition from leaders at most of the state's colleges and universities. Now it just needs the governor's signature to become law. Our Annie Moore breaks down today's vote in tonight's Capitol Beat.
Right, just before the vote, we heard from lawmakers on both sides of the issue. At the heart of that disagreement was whether the presence of guns would actually make campus safer. Fierce debate on the House floor, centered on a bill to allow students to carry concealed weapons on campus. The measure included exceptions for events with more than 1,000 spectators, campus daycare facilities, and residence halls. With the presence of law enforcement checks or metal detectors, colleges would have the ability to restrict guns in specific buildings.
Well, there was one student that told me, Doug, I'm not going to go to college in West Virginia because you guys don't allow guns. But a lot of them did tell me, if you pass this legislation, they will not be going to college in West Virginia.
Democrats opposed to the bill highlighted the prevalent alcohol abuse on college campuses and raised concerns over the risk to students with mental health issues.
You have suicidal thoughts and you add a gun into the mix, you're more likely to have a suicidal death.
Meanwhile, Delegate Mike Honaker spoke on his own personal experience, responding as a state trooper to the Virginia Tech massacre in 2007.
I can remember those cell phones ringing non-stop and looking at colleagues then trying to figure out should we answer those phones. These cell phones in these dead kids' pockets was ringing.
Every time he hears a cell phone go off with those same ringtones, the memory of those students brings him back.
I fear that if I do not support this legislation and it happens again, washing their blood off of my shoes will not compare to trying to wash their blood off of my hands because I disarmed them.
It was a message that resonated with 84 lawmakers who supported the bill. The measure heads next to the governor's desk for signature. Here for you in Charleston, I'm Annie Moore for Capitol Beat.
All right, thank you for that report, Annie. We're going to take a look at a set of Supreme Court cases that could impact how we all use the internet, as well as a look at the full forecast. It's all straight ahead. See you on the other side of the break.
The UPS store in Princeton.
Welcome back. The United States Supreme Court is heading back-to-back, back-to-back verbal arguments this week in two pivotal cases that could change the way we speak online, as well as how that content is moderated, which also carries significant stakes for the internet as a whole. Chris Wynn is in Washington with more on the legal battle ahead and how it could ultimately impact all of us.
At the Supreme Court, the battle over free expression online is coming to a head.
The way the internet works today may fundamentally change as a result of what the Supreme Court decides.
This week, two cases are being heard, and the outcomes could determine whether tech platforms and social media companies can be for recommending content to their users or for supporting acts of international terrorism by hosting terrorist content.
We have this very rare instance where a lot of people in D.C. agree that something needs to be done. They haven't been able to meet that point where they can actually agree on the answer.
At the heart of it all, Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act, a 27-year-old federal law that protects websites like Google, Twitter, and others from lawsuits over what their users post online. Some Democrats, including President Joe Biden, say it prevents tech giants from being held accountable for spreading misinformation and hate speech. But many Republicans allege that it gives big tech a license to censor conservative viewpoints.
The Supreme Court's ruling exposes how vulnerable the internet is to regulatory interventions and how at risk we are of being faced with a very different internet.
Some experts question if the justices are equipped to make a sound decision, partly because they don't use social media enough to fully understand it.
It's a structural problem with Supreme Court that when they make legislative-like decisions, they don't have the expertise the legislature has, and they don't hear from all the people that might be affected.
potentially adding to an uncertain playbook over how to regulate online speech. In Washington, I'm Chris Wynn reporting.
Chief Meteorologist Catherine Thompson here. Let's talk about the weather a little bit now. It definitely felt a little bit more like spring today, and come tomorrow, it'll certainly feel like we fast forwarded a few months. We were mild today. Temperatures were above average, and really, technically, spring is just around the corner, less than a month now until the official start of the new season. That's going to be March 20th at 5:24 p.m. to be technical. And again, it's like we're getting a little preview of that already. Today, we were already above normal. Most of us hit the 50s, had some spots pushing that 60-degree mark, and the average, again, around 45. That's at least for Bluefield, the Mercer County Airport. So we were definitely above average for this time of year. And tomorrow looks even warmer than today. Now, we're going to be cool tonight. Still, for the most part, not unseasonable. We're talking upper 30s, low 40s. Temperatures right now are sitting there, and we're going to kind of hover where we are, really, for most areas through early tomorrow morning. But again, we've got some gorgeous weather on the way tomorrow. Eventually, we get some good sun tomorrow afternoon, and temperatures should top off in the 70s, not at least the upper 60s. Again, a good 10, 20, 30 degrees above normal for some spots tomorrow. And that is going to feel amazing. It's going to feel like, again, we've fast forwarded a few months, and it's all because of this warm southerly airflow. We've got a warm front lifting through the area, and that's bringing in all this warm air. Now, it will be a bit windy at times. It was kind of gusty at times today. Not quite as bad tomorrow, but we're still going to have some occasional gusts, 20, 30 miles an hour, mainly across the higher terrain. Really, that's over the next several days as this warm front again is making its way through. A little unsettled, too. You can see some precipitation with this front. It just depends on where you are at what time of day or night that you might see some, but not everyone will see it. It's not going to be a washout by any means either. No flood risk or anything like that. Any rain we see in the coming next couple of days is going to be spotty. So the main story will just be the big warm up really Wednesday into Thursday. And you can see this. Our satellite and radar not showing much of anything rain-wise right now, just some clouds building back in. And if we roll forward on future casts, there's a slim chance we'll see a few showers late after midnight tonight. And through early Wednesday morning, you can see some batches of rain trying to push through there, especially along and north of the I-64 corridor, but they don't last long. Again, we hit the 60s and 70s with more sun tomorrow afternoon. Oh, it's just going to be so great. Cannot wait to get out there tomorrow. And look at tomorrow night. We're in the 50s and 60s, another little round of rain, but it's over. And we're in the 60s and 70s, more sun yet again, Thursday afternoon. So again, slim rain chances the next couple of days, warm temperatures the next couple of days. And then we get cooler and more unsettled at the end of the work week and into the first part of the weekend. It looks like highs return to around normal Friday and Saturday. We'll have low pressure move in, bring us some rain, maybe a few flakes flying around, but no big snow anytime soon. We're still too warm for that. We stay in the upper 40s, low to mid 50s through most of next week. Hey, stick with us. We'll be right back to sports right after this break. Josh Woodman is in next.
Hey, I just got a text.
It's been a fantastic night of basketball across the two Virginias. Let's get right to the highlights. Richlands and Union in the Region 2D quarterfinals. Blue Tornado off to a slow start. Union would lead 7-2 after a quarter. Second quarter not starting any better. Brooke Bailey hits the open three. It's 10-2 Union, but Richlands would regroup off the miss. Anzu Trevitt puts it back in. It was a really physical game. Trevitt's first shot won't go. She gets her own miss and gets it to go, and the foul. Blue Tornado down 3. Richlands on the break. First shot won't go. Second attempt won't either. Ball ends up with Jalen Altizer. She banks it in through the defense. Tie game at 16. Blue Tornado would make a game-altering run in the third quarter. Addie Lane Queen buries the triple. That'll give Richlands a 21-18 lead, and the Blue Tornado would go on to win 50-41. Richlands advances to the regional semifinals. Princeton and Bluefield renewing their county rivalry. This was a sensational game. Bluefield starts fast. Will Looney hits the mid-range jumper. Beavers moving the ball. R.J. Hairston to Looney. He finds Cameron Gore in the corner. Bluefield opens the game on a 9-0 run. Princeton trying to claw back into it. Gavin Stover finds Grant Cochran inside. Bluefield answers. Caleb Fuller barrels into the paint and finishes with the left. Beavers up 11-4. Off the inbounds, it's that signature lob to Looney. Hoop and the harm. Tigers beginning to get into rhythm. Stover finds Cohen Sarton for 3 on the wing. Still in the first quarter now. Back comes Bluefield. Gore creates space and hits the jumper from the short corner. Time winding down in the first. Chris Joyce rises and banks in the 3 at the buzzer. Bluefield up 4 after 8 minutes, but Princeton with momentum. Back and forth between these teams all game long. Spencer Fields hits the floater. Princeton with some beautiful ball movement. It ends up with Chase Hancock, and he drills the 3. Hancock scored all 30 of his points in the final 3 quarters. Tigers continue to attack. Nick Fleming on the break. He glides in for 2. That'll give Princeton a 32-30 lead. Bluefield takes the lead right back. Fuller finishes through the contact. Beavers up 34-32. Princeton snatched control of the game in the second half. The Tigers go on to win 75-66 and sweep the season series with the Beavers. It was sectional semifinal night in Quad A, Region 3, Section 2. Top seed Woodrow Wilson soars past arch rival Oak Hill. Princeton goes into Fairleigh and knocks off Greenbrier East. Woodrow Wilson will host Princeton for the sectional title on Friday. Elsewhere in high school basketball tonight, Eli Allen reaches 1,500 career points in James Monroe's 69-45 win over Summers County. The Mavs went on a 28-0 run from the end of the first quarter through the second, outscoring the Bobcats 22-0 in that second quarter. Greenbrier West obliterates Richwood to advance to the sectional final. The Cavs will face Webster County, and Tazewell falls in Region 2D quarterfinals. The Bluefield Rams collected some hardware today. Elijah White was named the AAC Men's Basketball Freshman of the Year and made the All-Conference First Team as well as the All-Freshman Team. Lady Ram Kylie Meadows was named to the All-Conference First Team as well, and Volante Carroll was named to the All-Conference Defensive Team. Congratulations to Elijah, Kylie, and Volante. That'll do it for sports. One final look at your forecast when we come back.
There's only one thing better than the Philly cheesesteak. The Philly cheesesteak Angus Thick exclusive offers.
Welcome back, everyone. A final look at the forecast. Temperatures tonight will be hovering in the upper 30s to low to mid 40s. Now, we are seeing some cloud cover building in right now, and we will see a few rain showers possibly late tonight. Not everyone will see them, but a few of us could wake up early in the morning to a few raindrops falling here and there. But it's not going to be a washout. Again, lighter stuff tomorrow. Plenty of sun emerging by the afternoon, so we dry back out. We're warm and breezy. Look at the temperature. We're talking 60s and 70s tomorrow, well above normal for this time of year. Again, we've been talking about this warm up for a while, so get outside if you can and enjoy it. Get outside, maybe walk the dog. That's what I'm planning on doing. Old Ginger, she needs a walk soon. Thursday, looking about the same. Most of us in the upper 60s, low 70s yet again. I do think we'll see some rain during the morning, but then we dry out during the afternoon. So in the next couple of days, we challenge record high temperatures. But then we drop back into the 40s. We're more seasonable Friday. As low pressure comes in, we turn a bit unsettled too. We'll have some rain around it in the work week, mainly into Saturday though. Maybe a few flakes there too. Next week, we're staying more seasonable. We're talking upper 40s, low 50s. But I'll tell you what, the next couple of days, it's going to feel amazing. And look at the nighttime temperatures. Tomorrow night, we're staying in the upper 50s and low 60s. That's the low temperature.
You know what I'm hearing, you know, for me, weather's about what to wear.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's a kilt day tomorrow.
Oh, man. Yep.
We're coming up on spring.
You're doing it.
St. Patty's Day is right around the corner. I mean, you guys go on our Facebook page. You tell me what you think. I mean, you guys aren't going to see it on TV, but I'll wear that kilt.
It's a legit kilt.
It's legit,
we've
right?
Witnessed it here in the newsroom.
It's the real deal. Hey, let's check tomorrow's holidays real quick, shall we? Tomorrow is Ash Wednesday, marks the first day of Lent observed by many Western denominations. Tomorrow is also George Washington's birthday. And hey, we all depend on supermarket employees. Tomorrow is Supermarket Employee Day. Tell them that you appreciate them. And it is also National Wildlife Day. And if you're feeling wild, it's also National Margarita Day. Sugar or salt? That's the question. Well, that's going to do it for us. We hope you have a great night.